Hey everyone, I hope that you're enjoying the playlist so far. And if you are, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share it with others. It really helps more people to start their agentic AI journey. So in the previous videos, we have gone through different parts of the agentic system. And in this one, we are putting it all together to build a complete end-to-end project. So let's jump right in and check out the demo first. So this is what we are going to build. So we are going to build a agentic AI chat system. Think about this. I'm naming this as a Foodly AI support system. So think about something similar to food apps that you have, right? Similar to Swiggy, Zomato, or anything else. This will be agentic system where you can learn more about Foodly policy. You can know more about where is your order. You can cancel your order and etc. So let's see the demo first. So I'm going to ask like what are the refund policy in detail as tabular format. This is where it is connected to a system. It understands your Foodly's internal documents and it will be able to provide you all the information. So you see it got you all the information. Now I want to know about my orders, right? So I just ordered something. I want to know like what's the status for that order. So I'll just ask like where is my order. I'll provide the order ID. So it has access to some unity function tool. So it understands that which function I need to use and it will get you the order status. So it will say okay, order is placed and it will take 25 minutes. And if you're not happy with this particular and you want to cancel the order, so you can ask like, can you cancel this order for me? So it will say okay, order is cancelled. And suppose you are not happy with the service, you are saying that you are dumb, connect me with a person. So the model understand that it needs to escalate the situation, so it will create a ticket for you. So this is the whole idea of creating it, and we'll see like how do I create different tools, how do I connect to the model and everything else. We'll also see how do we deploy this as a chat app on Databricks app. So there's a lot to cover, so let's get started. So I'm inside the fourth module end-to-end project. So you'll see that we have a folder called Foodly AI support, and all the code that I'll be showing it to you, it will be inside this. Let's first understand that how do you create system like this. First, it has different components. So this is the Foodly AI support agent. It has different component. It has something called as policy. So whenever you ask anything to your agent regarding policy, it will use this particular component and it has some tools added to it. Similar for orders, it has the orders related function that it can, so it will fetch you the order details. It can cancel the order for you if you want to do more functions, like you want to update some order. Everything will be added as a tools here. Similar for escalation, which has some tools to escalate, like creating Jira. So you can expand this as much as you can, right? You can create a function which creates a Jira ticket. It will be assigned to a user, and you can think about that escalation process. There are different ways to build this type of agent system. One could be, you can think about like you will have a supervisor agent and you will have different child agents, right? And what this supervisor agent will do, it will supervise it. So suppose I ask some query regarding the orders, right? So supervisor understand that it's a order related things, right? Then it will redirect your query to orders agent. Similar for escalation, similar for policy. But in this, we are going to see this multi-agent supervisor system in our upcoming videos. But in this video, we're going to see only one agent which will have all the tools related to policy, orders, and escalation. And we'll see like how do you give the prompting so that it understand like which tools to use in which cases, right? So we'll go step by step. We'll go for each component and we'll be creating the tools required for this. So first, let's create all the tools related to policy. So you can go to policy agent tool creation notebook. So let's get started. So first thing first, we'll be using the Llama models, Llama instruct model, which is getting served from Databricks, and we'll be using the chat Databricks module to initialize this as a chat module. So it's very important that we give the proper prompt. So prompt, you will see that what I've given, that you're a Foodly policy agent, answers only question about Foodly's official policies, refunds, cancellation, and everything else. Always use the vector search tool to find the relevant section. Summarize it. If no policy is found, reply that I couldn't find any official Foodly policy about that, right? or would you like to escalate this? So this prompt is very important because this is like a metadata used by your agent to understand, okay, if someone asks about refunds cancellation, then how do I get this information? With this prompt, it understand that, okay, I need to use this particular vector search tool to go to your internal document vector store and get the information, right? So that's the first step. Then you'll define the tools. We have seen this in our while we are developing the RAG agent. We have seen like how do we define the vector source rule. So if you haven't seen my previous video, I'll link the video, and so you can go and watch that first so you understand how do we create a RAG agent. So it's very simple. You define the index name, what is the tool name, number of results you need. So you just filter out like top two results, and the tool description. You can give the tool description also. Once that's done, you define the tool. So basically I'm just creating a tool array and I'm just adding that tool there. So that's all you need, and everything else remain the same. You see that I have some helpers which is just a wrapper around MLflow response agent, right? So this is the LangGraph response agent that I have. So I'm just creating that tool calling agent. I'm passing the LLM and the tools and the system prompt. We have seen this previously. Then how do we wrap it around MLflow? This is like I'm just testing it that if it is able to provide you the correct result. And if you scroll down, you will see that okay, this has a Foodly tool which has all the metadata that is required for this. And I've asked this question, right? What are the food return policy? The tool that is got called, this is the tool call, and it got some response. So it got all the document that it need. If you see that it got the documents, relevant document, so it has two relevant document, and once the agent has the document, it understand like how to answer it. So it will be able to give you the detailed answer for this, right? So we had already seen this in our RAG agent video. So please watch that video. So it has a lot more explanation from this, but this will be using the same agent for our policy. To summarize it, we had used the existing index that we had already created, right? And we have this used as a agent, right? So that's it for the policy agent tool creation. Now let me go back to orders agent tool creation. We'll now create everything related to the orders. So first, what we'll do, like for orders, if you think about orders, what does the order means, right? Suppose you are fetching the order details, you're updating the orders, or if you're canceling the order, this is like a SQL stuff, right? Because it's just like updating the query. So you will have a update query, or if you want to fetch some order details, it will be select query. So what we'll do is for all this order related stuff, we'll be creating the UC function tools, right? So I also have a video on UC function as a tool. So if you haven't looked into that video, first look into that video, then come back here, because there I have explained this in much more details. So in this notebook, we'll be creating all the UC function related tool. So first, I'm just creating a newer schema on the agents catalog. We already have this agents catalog, and this is the schema that I'm creating. Now I do have like two different table that I'm creating. One is orders table and one is order items. So this is everything related to the orders. So here you will see that you'll have the status, right? And you also have an ETA. So depending on the order, it will find the order status and the ETA. Similar for order items, like what's the order ID, item name, quantity, price, right? And this is just a sample data that has been pushed it, and you can always modify this data and see like how this is behaving. Now we'll be creating all the function, UC function that we need, right? First, let's define a function for getting all the orders for a user. So this is very straightforward. So we define a function inside our whatever schema that we have already created, and it has a user ID input, because depending upon your user ID, it will find the order for you, right? So you define like user ID used to retrieve all active orders, and it returns a table. It has order ID, restaurant status, and ETA. And you can give the comment, because depending on that, your agent will decide like which function to use. So the description will be like return all active or recent orders for the given user ID, because this is given as an input, and including restaurant name, status, and ETA. Down, then it will have a return statement. So I'm just returning everything, whatever the user ID input is there. And this is just a simple select query. So this function will be used for getting all the order for that particular user. Now you define one more function to get the order status. This will be similar to that, but as an input, you will be getting the order ID, and this is how the select query would be there, right? But the comments are very important because these are the comment that will be used by agent to understand which function to call. I know that I'm repeating it, but these comments are really important. Now you'll create one more thing for getting the order details. So this is like if you remember, we have created two table that is called orders and order items. So you basically can define joins inside it so that you can add the orders, you can add orders and the order items, and you can have a good view on the order details, right? So this type of query you can also write inside the UC function. And at the end, I'm creating a cancel and order function which takes a order ID as a input, and this has some select statement. So this has some, you can also define the select case statement. So basically I'm saying that, okay, if the status currently is preparing out of delivery delivered, then order, I'm just defining this order has been cancelled successfully. So this is a very dummy select statement that I have written. This is just to show that you can write a select statement, select with case statement inside this. But in real world, basically what you'll do, you'll first do a update, right? You will update the status that the status has been, that the particular order has been cancelled with a cancel status. Then you'll try to do some refund on of top of it, right? So this function is just to show you like how do you create different type of functions inside UC function and register as a tool. So this is all I have for this particular notebook. Now we have created all the tools required for this particular order section. Now let me go back. We need to create one more function for the escalation tool. So for that, go to this escalation agent tool creation. So first thing first, we'll be creating a schema, because what I am doing is for different sections, right? So for orders, I'm creating a different schema. For escalation, I'm creating a different schema because I want to keep all the tools related to that particular section in a different schema. So this will also be a UC function, but because this is just for you for showing this as a demo purpose, but basically it should be a function that will escalate the user query, and it should go, maybe it can go to Jira and create a ticket and assign to a user so that user can look into it. But for us, like, we'll take the user ID as input and the summary input, and it will return the ticket ID, ETA, minutes, and message. For currently, I'm just returning it as a very dummy select statement, right? So it will create a ticket number, 30 as a ETA minutes, and we are just passing the our message to the user. So this function will be used whenever I want to do escalate that particular ticket. Now all the tools are created. Now let's create an agent and give all these tools to the agent. For this, like for the first three notebooks, we have created different tools. Now we'll be creating the agent inside the main function. Let me go to that notebook. First thing first will be, like, we have seen this process a lot of times, so I'm just repeating the same thing. So first we'll be using the Meta Llama agent, which is getting served from Databricks, and we are using this chat database model to use this as a chat model. Now it has a lot of tools that we'll be using in this particular tools. So first thing first, let's add all the UC function tools, right? So we have created different tools inside it. So we are just naming this here. So first, the escalation tool that we have created. Now all the tools are related to the orders data, right? So all the tools, you can mention this as an array. Once this is done, you can use UC function toolkit to add this as a UC function tools. So this is what we are doing here. Once that's done, we also have a RAG agent that we will be creating, right? So for that, I'm creating this as a vector search retrieval tool, and this we have just seen that previously. So in this particular notebook, we are creating this as a single agent with all the tools mentioned. Now this is the important part. This is where you're adding the system prompt for that particular agent. So you are saying that you are a Foodly support system. You handle all user questions and issues related to Foodly. For orders, you can do all this thing: policies, refund, escalation. use the provided tool to fetch or update information, because we had given a lot of comment on all the tools, so you understand what things to use for what type of purpose, right? And you can also say like, okay, keep reply short, clear, friendly, and safe. So that's the prompt you need to do, and everything else remain the same. This is the helper that we're using. We're creating an agent, passing our LLM model, passing our tools, and passing our system prompt, then wrapping it around the response model. So now if I ask like, where is my order? And you will see in the tracing, if I go back, if I go to the down, you will see that this particular agent has all the tools related to that particular agent, and this is the rack retrieval tool, and depending on everything else are the UC function tool that we have just created, right? So this is how you are creating an agent and creating different tools, and this is how you should plan your agent. So you should plan your agent in a way that first you define like what are different section for that agent to do, and what are different tools that will be needed for the agent to do that particular request. So that's what this agent is doing, right? It agent is saying, okay, I need to call this particular function to get my order details, and depending on that, it will give you the answer. So currently it shows that, okay, could you please provide your order ID? Because if you remember in the demo, we had to pass a order ID. So basically, if we just run this with the order ID, it will be able to get you the order details, right? This is where we are done with the particular creating agent and adding the tools. Now to deploy this as model, so what you do is you create a main.py file, because this is a notebook that you cannot deploy this as a Unity function model. So what you need to do is like, this has like two different functions, right? One will be helper.pys. So this is nothing but this is the translation logic that we have seen, right? From LangChain to ML4, ML4 to LangChain. So this is nothing but this is the code that we have for the translation logic. So we have kept everything inside the helpers.py, and in the main.py, whatever I have written in main, I have just copy pasted the whole thing here. So this is the agent that you will get, and all the logic comes here, because while we deploy the models through MLflow, you need this as a py file, as a Python file, right? So once this is done, I'll go to deploy agent, and in this particular notebook, we'll be deploying this module as a Unity catalog model, and we'll also deploy this as a model serving endpoint. Look, so let's see how do you do that. First, I have defined a model name. So we have seen this in our previous models. Like if you haven't checked out the agent framework integration video, just look into it, where I have explained this in details. How do you create a model? How do you log it? How do you deploy this as model serving endpoint, right? So check that out. Then you can come back to this particular video. So I'm naming this as a model name, that is Foodly AI Assistant model. And first thing first, we'll log the model. So logging the model is very simple. So you add all these tools as a resources, right? And then you use MLflow PyFunction long model to log this as a Unity model, right? So you define the model name, you define what's the code path. So you have all the helper that exists in helpers.py, and what is the Python module. So this is where your agent code lives, right? This is the main.py file, and whatever requirement that you need, you define it here, and the resources is like whatever the resources you need, correct? So once that is done, you can do a pre-deployment agent validation. So from whenever you log it, right, it will get a run ID. So you can give that particular run ID, and you give some input data that you want to test the model. So I'm saying that tell me about Foodly return policy, and it will give you the policies here. So this is like a quick check that you can do before you do any deployment, right? So this is like a good practice that you can follow. Once that's done, you can go ahead to register the model. So you define the set registry model as Databricks UC, and you define where my model should go. It should go to catalog. This is the schema, and this is the model name, right? Then you register the model. Once you registered the model, you will see that there is a version that is created. So let me go to that model. This is the model that is created, and you will see that it got create. You can find out like what are the different tool function that it use, what is the notebook that was used to create this particular module. And we'll see like once you create the serving endpoint, you'll also see that this downstream, like this is downstream mean the serving endpoint uses this particular model. You can also see the artifacts that it use. So whenever you are doing the ML flow logging, registering the model, you will see all the artifacts used for this. So let me go back. Now it's time to, once your models are registered, now it's time to deploy the model. Deploying the model, you can use the agents framework to deploy it, or it needs agent.deploy. You can define the UC model name. You see register model dot version, like what is the version you want to deploy, because whenever you are doing any changes to the model, it creates different version. Right now it is one because this is the first time I'm doing, but whenever you are doing any changes here, it will create newer version. So you basically have to define which version you are going to deploy, right? And scale to 0, this is like whenever this model serving endpoint is not used, so it will go back to 0, means it will not, it will be, you'll not get charged to use that particular model serving endpoint. Once this is done, you will see that now if you click on view status, you will see that that serving endpoint is properly deployed, so it has the active information. Now once this is deployed, because you want to test it if my agents is working properly, you can click on use, and it will open this in a playground, right? So this is the playground. In playground, you can select all the endpoints. So these are the endpoint that is already deployed by Databricks, but this is the custom agent that you deploy, right? And this custom agent, you will say that okay, this has all the capabilities and this is the model. So now you can go ahead and paste it here. And one point that I had to mention, that whenever you're not using the serving model endpoint, it will be scaled to 0. So whenever you are trying to chat with that particular endpoint, it will say that it will take some time. So if I just say hi, so you might not get response instantly because it's scaled to 0. So you need to wait for some time to get the response for the first time, but after that you'll get response instantly. Now you see you got the response here. Now this is very similar to what you have seen in as a web app, right? But this is a playground which is used to really test your app if it is doing well or not. So whatever question that you have seen that me asking in the web app, you can ask here also, because this is connected to the serving endpoint and it will be more detailed. So you see that it will say that I'm querying the refund policies and this is the output that I got. Then these are the documents that I got, and this will be all the refund policies that you have, right? And it will say that what are the sources it used. So it's very easy to test your app when it is deployed. And you'll also see that this is unique to playground, that you'll also see all the suggestion questions, right? Which you can ask, like if I want to ask like in what scenarios would fully not provide a refund as mentioned in their policy. So your assistant, Databricks assistant identified what are the questions it can answer, and depending on that, it will give you the answer. Now, this is deploy as a model serving endpoint. So if you go to model serving endpoint, this is the endpoint that is created right now. It has a API endpoint, right? And we are going to use this API endpoint as a REST endpoint. Basically, we can invoke this model that is getting served by Databricks, and we can get the response. So in, because like I know this is a lot of things that I've covered in this particular video, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make one more video where we'll be seeing like how do I create a web app in Databricks, and how do I connect from Databricks to this model serving endpoint to get our result and show it as a web app. Because uh, your user won't come to playground to get the output from your model, right? They really need an interface as a web application where they can log in and they can get all the details there. In the next video, I'll be showing you that like how do you create a web app. So stay tuned, and if you like this video, please give it a like and let me know what your thoughts upon all this video that I'm creating on agents. If you want to learn something more, if you're trying to understand some other concept, just let me know in the comment section. I'll be really happy to make the video on it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. See you in the next one.